because it's through our freedoms we have what we have and have had what we've had. And we are a country today that was the greatest country in the world. Do we want to be known as the country that with the biggest failure in history? And that simply was the failure of freedom. Freedom's the most important thing here. And all the other stuff, in my opinion, falls by the wayside. And we can't give up our freedoms, even if it means that occasionally terrorists can attack us. If we lose our freedoms, that's more important, in my opinion, than, you know, any other result that could come from it.
Well, sure. I mean, even if you take their official argument that there's this army of turban boogeymen that are going to get us, so we gave up all of our liberty and let government goons stick their hands down our pants and radiate us, and we're going to have Big Brother telescreens. I mean, you're in the movie The Running Man,
yeah.
and in that film, you know, written by Stephen King, it starts with big telescreens in the city streets saying, report suspicious people. I mean, in that 1980s book and film, the total dystopic society is where they have telescreens saying, watch your neighbor, and now it's here.
Yeah, and it's insane, you know. We did the one episode on my show where we simply went down to Washington Avenue and First Avenue in Minneapolis, a normal downtown intersection, and we're amazed that there wasn't one camera on the corner, Alex. There were 4.
It's happening everywhere. Governor.
No, I mean, there was. I expected to see 1. I got down there and saw 4 on one corner.
Amazing. Stay there. We're going to break, come back, get into United Nations moles internet regulation options because of WikiLeaks. And O'Reilly says execute Julian Assange. We'll be back with Governor Ventura. Going back to Governor Ventura. Governor, I know you've really, when I talked to you off air Monday, you're really upset about this WikiLeaks situation. You said you concurred with Ron Paul in his speech where he you know, came out and said, you know, telling the truth is not treason, but then you went on to make the point. Well, go ahead and make the point yourself.
Well, that's just it, Alex. I mean, it's that simple. If we're at the point that if the government gets, well, first of all, this is the classic kill the messenger, not the message. This is a classic thing that happens. They're putting all the heat on the messenger when ultimately, if these things hadn't have been written in the first place, there would be no messenger to tell them because there'd be nothing to tell. But they're blaming the messenger. And the point is exactly what Congressman Paul said. If our country is at the point now where if the government lies or does something and you expose it by telling the truth, and if the truth makes you a candidate for treason, then we're in horrible shape. When telling the truth becomes a treason offense, in other words, they're saying it's okay for government to lie, but by God, if anyone exposes the lies, we're going to get you for treason. What kind of message does that send to kids?
Well, what is it?
It's all right for government to lie, and it isn't all right for you to catch them or tell on them or expose them or tell the truth.
Well, Governor, what type of message does it send to the press? I've been leaked plenty of documents that have even shown up on your TV show, like the MIAC and Homeland Security and others. I mean, are we going to get executed next?
I don't know. And then it becomes laughable when you have elected officials like Mike Huckabee and these other people who state that this guy should be brought up and put to death for treason. Well, you can't commit treason unless you're a citizen of the country. It's that simple, Alex. He's an Australian. How can an Australian commit treason to the United States?
Well, how can Sarah Palin say that he's un-American? He's not American.
Exactly. But and I guess, well, then what is she insinuating? That an American would lie. He's un-American because he's releasing these truthful documents. You notice they're not denying the documents, are they?
No.
You know, there's no denial. It's just that it's happening, and to me, it shows clearly that it boils down to even more basic than that, Alex. It goes be comfortable with those thoughts of bribery, of being bribed is okay. And so you have a system, and the people that thrive and live in this system, our politicians, they're comfortable with that. So they're also comfortable with the lying then that obviously goes on continuously in our foreign policy.
And they're saying it's treason to expose their criminal activity. Here's another angle of it I want to get your take on. Since when can the United States, or the crooks that run it, the gangsters, as you say, the Crips and the Bloods, or the Gambinos and the Genoveses, you know, pick your flavor of poison. Since when, Governor, can they reach across the world to England or Australia, and they're now openly have a grand jury federally impaneled, and they're saying they may try to extradite him on espionage or treason or something. They've got a bill now saying it's treason even if you're a foreigner, because it was pointed out a few days after Huckabee and O'Reilly called for his execution that he's not an American. Can the communist Chinese not like what Jesse Ventura says, or Ron Paul, or Alex Jones, or Bob Barr? And can they then come and extradite us to China because, say, some Chinese dissidents give us some documents and then we publicize them?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, this is absurd. It's closing the barn door after the horses have already gotten out. You can't pass laws and go after a guy after he did it. How do you create a new law and then retroactively apply it? That's insane. And the point is, why are we creating laws that stop the truth? It boils back to what Congressman Paul said. When the truth becomes treason, our country's hurting. And people, we better wake up and understand that the truth is what it is. It's not something that, you know, certain elements create or are allowed to lie, and then you're not allowed to expose them.
Stay there. Got a break. Got a break. Powerful. Okay, we got about 30 minutes left with Governor Ventura. We're going to run the gamut of things we're discussing, but I wanted to finish up with the really powerful points that cut right to the heart of living in a free republic that Governor Ventura was talking about. I want you to finish the statement you were making when the break cut you off. But first, I want to get your take on the top story on the Drudge Report and Infowars.com right now. UN moles internet regulation options, and they have a direct link in IT News to the UN announcement that they want to have everybody with internet IDs, tracking where you go, taxing the internet, and they call it a internet takeover. This is the UN quotes. And this was in a meeting in New York 2 days ago. And the United Nations says because of WikiLeaks. So there's a few terrorists. We've got to all lose our rights. There's somebody doing, you know, the WikiLeaking that government doesn't like. So we've all got to lose our rights. I mean, this is tyranny, is it not, Governor?
Completely. Absolutely it is. Because of a few rotten apples, they throw out the whole barrel. That's absurd. And again, we shouldn't stand for it. But it doesn't surprise me, Alex, because the internet was the only thing they haven't been able to control, and they must get control of it. So it's not surprising at all that they're going to drum up that we're all in danger, and that for our own safety, they should take over the internet, and we all have to have ID cards, and we can all be tracked, and anything we do and say can be, you know, looked over and made sure of. If the internet allows that to happen, I don't know if they can, but if, you know, they do it to telephones and all that now, so it can't be impossible. But if that does happen, it's going to be a very dark day on the planet.
What do you think overall of Julian Assange?
Well, to me, he hasn't broken a law. All he's done is reveal documents. He's not a citizen of the United States, so he doesn't have to have any allegiance to our government or our policies or our political standing. And again, if everything he releases is the truth, well, then the truth shouldn't be considered bad. It's that simple. The truth should never be a bad thing. The truth should always be a good thing. truly, I stand with Michael Moore. This guy doesn't belong in jail at all. And what he's doing, again, it's the classic case of killing the messenger, which is him, rather than the message, which is the information that he's putting out. And if the information wasn't put out in the first place, there would be nothing to spill. And this is also a power play to let us as citizens know that if you go against the government, they will attempt to destroy you. Open your eyes up, people, and see that this is a clear example. They're going to try to make an example out of this guy. They got to, because he's gone over a new line on them. And they're now, the power brokers are now taking the sword and drawing the line in the sand. And they're going to attempt to get this guy and make an example of him so that there will be no more down the road. And I don't believe in a free society we should allow that to happen.
Well, we all hang together or hang separate, as Benjamin Franklin said, and there's also been calls by Lieberman and others to look at indicting people at the New York Times. People in the British government are talking about indicting folks in the Guardian newspaper because they got the leaks. I mean, that's what Assange is saying. I'm a journalist. I've been given this stuff. We vetted it. We've released it. It was leaks that brought down Nixon. It was leaks that exposed the Tuskegee experiment.
Well, why do you think they're trying to stop it, Alex? They got to put the line in the sand now. This is a major, major thing. This is one of the biggest things that's happened in my lifetime. In my opinion, this WikiLeaks stuff is going to rate right up with 9/11, and it's going to rate right up with the murder of John Kennedy.
Well, they're certainly using it to try to curtail the internet and my free speech. And
exactly, and that's huge. I mean, our basic Bill of Rights is on the line here. Not only the Fourth Amendment for reasonable search and seizure, but also the First Amendment.
Governor?
The right to free speech, Alex.
Is there any doubt, then, that they're running a blitz against every one of our liberties? Doesn't matter if it's Clinton, Bush, Obama. What do you think's going on here?
Well, it certainly shows to me that Democrats and Republicans are from the same ilk. That they portray that they're not together, but ultimately they are in the face of holding up nationalism. If you follow me.
No, I totally understand, Governor.
You know, see, there's no difference, and people need to understand that as long as we keep electing these Democrats and Republicans, this is what you're going to get. Nothing different. This is it.
All right, we've only got 20 minutes left with you, and I want to get into the show. The new one premiering tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern.
Yep, I'm real excited about it.
Let's talk about the new episode now. Then I want to go back to the incredible episode from last week, because if people have trouble believing there's a plan to force relocate folks out of the Gulf, Mississippi, Louisiana, and even parts of eastern Texas, southeastern Texas, we have the London Guardian article, Rebuild or Retreat, U.S. Debates Evacuation of Gulf Coastline, $40 billion to fund that, and you put them on the hot seat. You want to cover that first or get into the Pentagon special tonight?
Oh, I want to get in the Pentagon special tonight.
Let's get into that. I mean, this is some groundbreaking stuff. I've been privy to some of the behind the scenes.
Well, it's not overly groundbreaking if you're a connoisseur of the facts. If you study it, you know, the things that we find out and the things we do are not a great deal. If you're into it, and you'll understand exactly where we're at here.
But it's groundbreaking to get a JFK deathbed confession on national TV for the first time. Yeah, it's groundbreaking to prove the FEMA camps. And, I mean, let me tell you, this will be the first time some of these eyewitnesses have ever been on television.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, tonight on the show, and it's the old classic, mainstream media doesn't talk to the people who actually lived through it. Mainstream media avoids those people. Mainstream media only talks